Come on. Welcome back to Nerdrotic. My name is Gary Beekler, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com, and I am live in the belly of the beast, San Francisco, California. And I have a very special guest. I have the single most requested guest on this channel finally here. This is just me lagging on contacting him. He's been open to it since day one. We have the great Bowlestrek. How are you, sir?
Hey, Gary. How's life? Hello, everyone. Coming to you from not so sunny and still cold northern Canada, but good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I'm sure we've got some Australian friends in here too. And we will be talking about Doctor Who, Star Trek, and whatever the hell you guys want to talk about. You're part of the conversation here as usual. So can we have a room tour? Someday we can have a room tour, Fisher 2000. Someday we can. But the first thing I want to talk to Bowlestrek about is he has been, oh, God damn it. That's a boomer move right there. I'm going to turn off my phone. He's been YouTubing for a long time. We just had a brief conversation about this. How long have you been on YouTube?
Well, the channel has existed since 2007. I actually originally set it up to enter a contest to win a computer from a former tech YouTuber that no longer exists. Posted my first video in December 2008, which was just a tour of my apartment because I was trying to get rid of it at the time. Did my first Doctor Who media-related video. I think it was around January 2009, just showing off my DVD collection, and I've been doing it ever since. Changed my approach quite drastically about a year and a half ago. It was around the time of the casting of the 13th Doctor. I wasn't quite sure how to respond to it. If you watch my older videos, they all used to be non-scripted, often with me on camera. Now they're all voiceover edited to hell. But the current approach came in result of the actual casting. So it took me about 2 weeks to decide how I was going to respond to this, and it ended up being my first scripted video, and it's still on my channel. I think it's called On the 13th Doctor or something like that, where I was trying to be just as civil as possible, not anything like the approach that I take now. And so it started from there. In September 2017, I did a video called Is Doctor Who Becoming a PR Disaster? And that's where it kind of exploded. And when I did the video, I just had a very small channel. Breaking 100 views on any particular video was a triumph back then, and more than one comment a day was like, well, I'm hitting the big leagues now. So it sat on my channel for about a month. And then around October, somehow it went viral. I don't know, the algorithm picked it up. And I used to have notifications on my phone for whenever I get a comment, you know, the 1 or 2 a day. And I'm at work, and just out of nowhere, my phone starts going off every few seconds. So I just look at it. I'm like, the video had been sitting at about 150 views for a month. They look at, okay, it's at 1,000. Okay, now it's at 2,000. Now it's at 10,000. And the funny thing about it was the focus of this video, I was presenting a scenario where if you wanted to change the gender of the Doctor, there was a way of going about doing it. So my fictional scenario was they cast Olivia Colman and how they went about doing that. And somehow I became the anti-Doctor Who misogynist. So that's when the hate and death threats, which I found kind of amusing, started throwing my way. And then because this was a full year before the show started, I spent probably a good year being one of the most hated people in Doctor Who fandom, because I was calling this stuff out as it was coming forward. And unfortunately, not that I mean to say I told you so, but I told you so. Everything that I said was going to happen happened. And then we are where I am now, where I'm just kind of the grumpy old person with a talking goat that complains about things online.
I love the talking goat. And that's crazy. You've been doing it for so long, and you were out there first. And the Olivia Colman thing, you're such a misogynist when you presented another version of a female Doctor. I mean, like, I guess if I'm the true misogynist, because I don't think there's any scenario that works for me personally. But no, that's a great video, by the way. And that's weird that it just sat around for a month before it started pinging.
It was my second video to go viral. It had happened 10 years before, back in 2009, where It was, I used to do a lot of tech videos. I didn't always do stuff like this. But it was January 2009. It was a video beta testing Windows 7, so not anywhere near as interesting as what I do now. But yeah, it's just the way the algorithm works. It got picked up, and then things started to explode, and yeah, and then we carried on from there.
That is brilliant. Yeah, I was very similar. I've been doing just TV reviews and stuff, and I've been reviewing Doctor Who. Actually, a Doctor Who podcast was the first podcast I did for my channel in 2004. Well, not for my channel, for my podcast, which this ended up being a backup for. And it was with my oldest son. And we reviewed The Time of the Doctor. And it's on my website. I am sick as a dog, so I sound terrible. And, I chronicled Doctor Who, and I was liking it. I liked most of the Capaldi stuff. It was getting a little political, but I didn't want to. I was very vanilla on my channel for a long time.
Oh, I could tell you stories about that.
Yeah.
I have videos from Series 9, which I absolutely hated, like just beyond hated. But at that point, I was trying to be non-controversial. So some of them, there were multiple takes. And back then, I was actually still doing videos with my face on the camera. And you can watch back, and I'm like, yeah, no, it was great. Because I wanted to avoid controversy. And I can't watch those videos now because I knew what I was actually thinking compared to what I was saying. And it's just, you don't want to piss off the community. But now I'm at the point where I just don't care.
And that's an important thing to know as a YouTuber. And that's we were talking about Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. He did a video, a year ago now, talking about the same thing. And just people can sniff out when you're not being, when I'll use I statements, when I'm not being 100% honest. And I was the same way with my Doctor Who reviews, and I cringe like hell, especially when I'm beardless. I got this beardless baby face, and I'm trying to drudge through with my co-host. Like, yeah, I really like Bill. God, she mentions she's a lesbian once in a while. just a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times an episode.
Yeah, and then the 13th Doctor got cast, and it was suck because my youngest son was always kind of in the Doctor Who, but he was really getting in the Doctor Who. He was like getting into watching the older episodes, going back and watching Pertwee stuff with me. I love the Third Doctor. I'm a huge Third Doctor fan, and I was showing him all those episodes. And then when Jodie got cast, he's like, I don't want to watch anymore. He just dipped right out, like boom, gone. And I'm like, wow. And I've told the story. This room used to be a complete Doctor Who room. Like every figure was a Doctor Who figure. Yeah. And I ripped them all down that day, and I swore to never talk about it. And it was Jodie. You're in here. I see you in the chat. It's Jodie's fault. So if anybody wants to blame anybody that I'm talking about Doctor Who, it's Jodie right there. He's all, you should talk. You should review it and give it a chance. I'm like, okay. So, and I gave the first episode an honest try. I'm like, I'll try this. I don't like it, but what the hell? And yeah, the algorithm wasn't even that super friendly to me in the beginning, but then it started to. And then, the Dave Cullen shout out certainly on when I got that message from you, I was on my way to for a TV appearance, and I got that message from you in the parking lot.
Watch that. Yep.
Yeah, and I was like, I was so stoked. I'm like, no way, Dave Cullen mentioned both of us. I was stoked, and yeah, that really fired up the channel, and I'm sure helped both of us. But the algorithm's been a little weird lately.
Oh, the algorithm hates me. Literally, my channel has been flatlined for a month, and oddly enough, something happened around the time I put up my Captain Marvel is going all 1984. At which point. And there's a pattern to it. I will gain subscribers, then the same amount will be removed. And these are not people. I think even you said you've been unsubscribed twice. My best friend has actually been unsubscribed from the channel at least once. So it's stuck at 28,296 seems to be where whatever they did, it's been stuck there. So it will go over. I'll get 30 over, then all of a sudden just 30 dropped off my channel. So I don't know if this is something that they've done permanently, but I've stopped caring about subscribers. I'm like, my videos still get the traffic, so it's whatever.
Honestly, that's the most important thing. It's minutes watched and clicks, and subscribers are great for scorekeeping and stuff. But no, if your videos are getting thousands of views, you're still doing good, and you're getting the traction and
getting demonetized. But I think we're all getting that right now.
Yep. I did notice on the YouTube Creator Studio, they did say that they were having subscriber count issues. They've started putting up issues they have. They're very general in their new openness. So that sucks. No,
well, it's the same thing. They say, yeah, it's an algorithm. I'm like, well, no, it's not count issues. When I know at least 100 subscribers, I have some people that have been subscribed to me since 2008, 2009 that have been unsubbed without their consent. So I'm thinking that the number that has been unsubscribed might be over 1,000 at this point.
Jesus. And yes, it's happened to me twice, and a couple of times the notification bell. I mean, that happened. That's happening with everybody now. I have to go back through and just physically check. So if you guys have time out there, please do that, especially with Bowlestrek. Make sure you're still subscribed and make sure that damn notification bell is set, because that thing gets clicked off all the time for everybody, for me. And woefully unsubbed. You should have 100,000 subscribers, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely. If one of my great wrenches could link his channel in the chat, please, that would be great. Do you have a live streaming channel?
I keep intending to do it. It's actually the channel that I'm using right now, which is Bowlestrek Media, which is my secondary kind of, I just throw anything. It's the channel that holds what used to be the regular content on my current channel. But when I finally do get around to doing regular live streams, they're going to be on this channel. But the main channel, which is just youtube.com/Bowlestrek is the main one. And then I have another channel coming up in a few months called Nuclear Bowlestrek, which that one's going to be political, so that I'm just going to keep away from the regular stuff.
That's brilliant. I can't wait to see that one. Right on. We need real news. We need real opinion out there, and especially from our good friends in Canada. I'm so encouraged because I have a ton of subscribers from Canada. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
And from Australia, and it's encouraging to hear the voices in our chat. It makes me feel better every day. It does, because
UK is still my biggest subscription base. It's still over 50%, which is awesome. I mainly was a Doctor Who channel for years, so
that's incredible. Yeah, that's really average. I don't know about Canada, but here in America, the average, like, European, it's usually like 14-15%. I have 30% from the UK, which is brilliant, but damn, 50, that's great. That's great.
Well, oddly enough, from Canada, it usually sits at around 3 or 4%. So in my own country, nobody actually watches me.
Come on, Canada. This is Canada's finest right here. Dang it.
Well, I try.
Yeah, well, you do a good job. You do a good job. And we'll get to a couple super chats here. Oh, we got some Canuck money coming in here.
Awesome. Not worth what it was, but it's worth something, I guess.
Yeah, damn straight. The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, first off, who is a great friend of our chat, and just a good person. I hope you're feeling better, my friend. 5 pounds. Shout out to our good friend Viking Bitch, who is going through some tough times at the moment. Let's all send her love. Yeah, Viking Bitch, who long time friend of the channel. Yeah, send her some love. I don't know what she's going through, but I'll find out. Yeah, I know her personally. We've chatted. Yeah. She has co-hosted my Farscape stuff. She doesn't always love what I do, but I understand that. I totally understand that. Thanks, Hunky Junky Funky Monkey.
Yeah, no, it's thoughts out to you. I don't know her, but yeah, we've all been through tough times, so it's just fighting your way through it. I've been through it more than once.
Yep, me as well. And that's the cool thing about, and that's why I do have some YouTube pom-poms out once in a while, just because of the live chat and the live streaming and giving us this opportunity. They make it frustrating as possible, but they still give us the platform, and they haven't taken it away yet. But that could be coming, especially when and we'll talk more about the changing of the algorithm, because that happened to me. It happened to everybody who started talking about Captain Marvel, the weirdness started
It
happening?
was it was odd. It was literally, I had one video that actually did go viral, and I think that, and I know I caught somebody's attention with that one. It was called "Is Captain Marvel, or Captain Marvel is a PR disaster," and that was, I think I got something around 81,000 views within the first 12 hours. It was the fastest trending video I'd ever had, and
That's
then out
great.
of nowhere it was demonetized, traffic was stopped completely, and my channel has been a mess ever since. And then it really got bad with the Captain Marvel 1984 video, and then it's just, in terms of subs, it's been a lost cause. So I just keep doing what I do.
And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. I have a similar experience with Captain Marvel. Is that they'll do well for the first 24 hours, and then and usually everything else performs differently, as you know. So that's weird. Grand Inquisitor for $2. Nerdrotic Dave Cullen collab. When? I want this. It is up to me I gotta message him on Gab. I'd like to have you there too. I think the three of us talking would be very cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I've been a fan of Dave's for at least 10 years. I subscribed to Computing Forever back when it was a really small channel that actually covered computing stuff. And when I saw the shout out, I was working on a video, and then I just took a break. I was having my coffee and I was just watching, his videos, as I always do. And at the end, I see our channels come up and I spit out my coffee. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, that was big time. I've been watching him for 4 to 5 years. Prior to 2016, when I think when the rest of the world kind of got fed up with the news and started just going to YouTube, and was like, I need to hear from some people, because this doesn't seem right. And
he grew fast around 2015. And
yeah,
he was the first person to call out Doctor Who as well back in 2015 when I wanted to. I just didn't have the cojones to do it at the time.
Yep. And yeah, and you got to be prepared for that. And you have a great attitude towards it. And once I started going through it and realized it's bullshit and people talking, and honestly, I ghost most of but I've gotten death threats. I've got legit death threats for a couple of things. But actually more for Captain Marvel than I did for Doctor Who. So obviously I was doing something wrong.
I haven't delved too closely into the comments on that video because they were coming in by the thousands. So I'm sure there's some death threats in there.
There has to be.
Well, I guess it's different for you because you're in San Francisco. I'm in northern Canada. So if you want to come all the way up here, it's like I've been doing this for 12 years and I've been recognized exactly once. And it was several years ago before my channel exploded. So if you want to come up here, I don't know. I guess that is something to be worried about if they do that. But I guess it'd be different if we were in London, UK, where then it can get really scary. But
yeah,
it's all just hot air.
That's all it is. And honestly, it's finding a house in San Francisco is not as easy as you think it is. So yeah, good luck. Jen Eric, Canadian, $200.
Holy crap.
Oops, I guess I sent you money to follow up on yesterday. I will initially fund 3 comic Kickstarters before I give up on the idea. More than one of the potential contractees is showing promise. Oh, that's good. Funding artists is basically how I date. That's funny. When the project goes live, I'll make a new account. Jen Eric, you let me know. Okay, for one, that is an incredibly huge and generous super chat, and thank you very much. And yeah, I'll shout you out from the highest hills. Just let me know. Just let me know. And you guys don't, especially when you're in the chat a lot. Hey, I love super chats. I'm not going to deny them. But if you want me to shout something out, just send it to me on the email, and I'll check it out and I'll shout it out. It doesn't require a super chat. I'm more than happy to do it. Tharies, the good Tharies, for £5. My 2 favorite anti-Series 11 YouTubers. Awesome to see you guys cross over. Have a great stream, gentlemen. Why, thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there may be another crossover coming with that shortly. We'll keep it under wraps, but it's coming.
That is brilliant. And let me get to it. I'll read these 2 super chats and then we can talk a little bit about Doctor Who. Ryan for 50 pounds. The original series, no budget, great writing. Discovery, huge budget, terrible writing. Moral of the story, writing is everything. Discovery has no excuse. I'll give them one more season to get their shit in order. I
I'm
don't know.
not even going to give them that. I
Nope.
watched the season finale this morning, and I have the words, but I almost don't have the words. I can't believe what I just watched. It's like it was written by a 5-year-old.
Yeah. A 5-year-old. Well, I could go a little mean on that one. A 5-year-old on the spectrum, maybe. So
It's like Michael Bay directed a season finale with no budget, with effects that look worse than Deep Space Nine's battles 20 years ago. It was awful.
the effects sucked.
Oh,
They sucked.
Everything about it, except for the Enterprise. I like the Enterprise, but I'll talk about that later. But it's just, it was, oh God. Yeah, video coming. I'm scripting a review of the last 2 episodes, and yeah, this one's definitely getting demonetized.
And bless it for doing that. The real Mrs. B. Thank you, Ryan. Again, thank you very much for 50 pounds. That's, again, very generous. Hell, those are worth more than dollars. The real Mrs. B, $4.99. Hail, Gary. Bowlestrek is the first YouTuber I subscribe to. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks for your Doctor Who stuff and creating Professor Dinkles.
Yeah, the goat's going to be the goat's visiting Reddit next time, so yeah, he's going to be up again in the next couple weeks.
That is great. I love Professor Dinkles. Hungry Soldier, $2. VPN needed to donate. Greetings from Israel. Oh, why isn't a VPN? Is Israel something you can't donate to? That's lame. Hey, hail Israel. Awesome. Well, welcome. Hungry Soldier. That's cool. Worldwide. We're worldwide, my friend. Okay. So, I mean, we've both done tons of videos on Doctor Who Series 11. I think the question is, do you think the inevitable double down is coming for Series 12?
My position on Doctor Who right now is it's like the 90s all over again. I've written the show off. Doctor Who, it's done. As much as I had issues with Capaldi's final season, I view that as the end of Doctor Who. What we're watching now, this isn't Doctor Who. I thought it was going to be bad. I had no idea it was going to be this bad. Doubling down, yes, because I think they know nobody cares about it anymore. That's what amazes me. Even complaining about it isn't much of an issue anymore because everybody's written it off. They are going to double down. It's not just Doctor Who, it's the BBC. Like, I used to be a huge fan of everything BBC. I can't stand anything that comes out of that corporation, I guess as you'd call it. But in terms of doubling down, yes, it's going to be in your face. They know that we hate us and they don't care. Chibnall and Whittaker they're definitely out at the end of next season. I don't think this show is going to survive beyond that, because if the BBC just wants to push agendas, which really is all they are about now, it's not a cheap show to make. There are other ways of making it that, and I don't want it to continue. I never thought I'd say this, but the show needs to go back on hiatus. And I don't even know if I want to see it come back under the BBC. It would be great if the rights could be sold off to, well, Netflix is going woke, but at least they still have to make a profit. Amazon Prime, I'd love to see them take the show over. But under current circumstances, it needs to go away, and it needs to go away for a while. And we're not getting any younger, but it's like if you've ever had a relative, they get dementia, Alzheimer's, or whatever, and it's watching them fade away. That's what Doctor Who is right now. And literally one of my earliest memories is watching Doctor Who. Was around early 1980, Destiny of the Daleks, which would have been around the first time it was aired in Canada. So literally my whole life I've been watching the show. And I was in a similar place with Star Trek around 2002. around Nemesis and Enterprise, because the 2 seasons of Enterprise were horrendous. It got better after that, but it was the same thing where it needs to go away. It's run its course, and unfortunately, Star Trek came back in the way it did, but that's a whole other discussion. But for Doctor Who, there's going to be doubling down. They're done. They know they're done. They're going to shove it in our faces. I know they know who we are, and I wouldn't be surprised if they drop some Easter eggs mentioning some of the people that have been criticizing them. But yeah, I think it's done. And in terms of the ideology, it's going to be last season multiplied by a factor of 10. I'm looking forward to it at this point, only so I can rip it apart, because it is at the point where it's so bad it's funny at this point, where they're not even hiding it. And it is depressing, but that's my take. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. And instead of a save Doctor Who, I think we almost need a canceled Doctor Who movement at this point.
Totally agree. I have long been I'm not a boycott person until recently. I was very anti-boycott. I kind of saw it as a SJW NPC move. You end up hurting a lot of innocent people, but I don't think there's too many innocent people involved in Doctor Who. And unfortunately there are casualties of war and collateral damage. And, I'm still going to make a video on boycotting CBS All Access, but I mean, that might be pointless. How do you boycott something nobody's watching? But with Doctor Who,
we get it on regular cable in Canada and still nobody will watch it. So.
Oh, really? Yo, I wonder could you get ratings up there if it's on regular cable?
It's on Space, which it's a niche network anyway. So even if the show was massive, it wouldn't be doing that well. So I haven't really based it off that.
Interesting. Yeah, with Doctor Who, I think I totally could get behind a cancel Doctor Who. That and boy, would we be called such haters for that. But I lost it. I'm gonna, when I get extra time, somebody sent me a document from the BBC that looked legit. Of course, I don't know if it's real. Somebody could have, I don't know why somebody would spend their time making a fake document that looks very professional. And I just glanced it on my Facebook Messenger, and then I couldn't find it again. And it was what you and I both have been talking about was basically the checklist. It was what is required to work at the BBC and to create things at the BBC. And it's not a real checklist. It's like a memo of we need to insert certain ideology. We need to represent this many people for this amount of time on screen for, and that's why we would get in the Christmas special, we had the random cop who said, "Hello, I'm gay," without saying his name.
Yeah, because it has to be in there. I'd say almost certainly, in Canada, we have the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. So our version of the BBC, or Australia's ABC, publicly funded channel, and they're public with that document. So it's all about representation. This has to be in there, and if it's not in there, you're going back and you're putting it in there. So I think I may have seen the same document, because I think somebody sent me that a few months ago. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't going to cover it in a video because that'd probably get into legal trouble, but or at least show it on video. But I'm not surprised. That's how. I don't think it's quite the same in the US right now, but when you look at Canada, Australia, the UK, it's very mandated, and everything is done by category. So I guaranteed, that's got to be a legit document.
And that kills art every time. And Doctor Who, as both of us have said, was the show that was for everybody. Now, when I did my viewing parties, this is during the Matt Smith era, right? Yeah. So at my comic
pretty
store,
much its height, especially in the US.
Yeah, it was right at its peak. It had never been this big in the US. I was filling my comic store, which is not the biggest comic store. So I had 40, 50 people come for these viewing parties.
Some of the pictures.
Oh, you have? Cool. Yeah. Sitting on the floor. And we had makeup. We had a girl there who was doing Cyberman makeup on you. And it was huge. We had a TARDIS tent, and sometimes I had an inflatable TARDIS that blew away once, which was funny. And yeah, people were excited during the 50th anniversary special when Tom Baker showed up. It was like your team scored. We had people cheering, running out of the store with their arms up, going woo. There was such enthusiasm, and it was all, it was a huge mix in there. Again, in San Francisco, right near one of the most liberal colleges in the country, San Francisco State, and everybody got along. Everybody was great. Everything was fine. But having to dial up the agenda with the first female doctor, and this is exactly what you predicted, what a lot of us expected. I'm with you. I never thought it would be this bad, though. That was shot after the 4th episode. I was like, "What?" And that's when I really just
in the UK.
flipped out. Yeah,
you've said that on several occasions where that's when everything changed, and that's when I noticed the change, because I could kind of gauge what was going on. Because again, I've been covering this pretty much since the announcement. My like-dislike ratio on my videos. So early on, it was almost 50-50. Like, people hated my guts. And it started with that as well, with the beginning of Series 11. But with Arachnids in the UK, that's when it flipped on its head. Now my Doctor Who videos, typically it's a 95% like ratio, but the flip happened with that episode. And by that point, you couldn't really hide it anymore. Like, you had The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which... that one I actually did film a full reaction, but I never uploaded it because I didn't want to get in trouble with my friend Tony. So we did a half-hour-long discussion, which I uploaded a couple weeks later. But with that one, I was willing to give it a chance. I'm like, okay, this is kind of, it's different, but it's kind of crap, but it's a new Doctor. I'll give it a shot. Then episode 2, name I can't even remember, but it was, I almost fell asleep during that one. Then Rosa. I got the most hate from that episode because I called it out for what it was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it started to switch around there, but Arachnids in the UK. And then that followed up with the Saranga Conundrum, which is probably the worst episode ever. It flipped on its head. And now that's why there are very few people now that are even supporting it. And my view was, in theory, I've never been against a female Doctor. I'm kind of with Peter Davison. I prefer the Doctor to remain a male character. But if you can do it in a way that makes narrative sense, not for an ideology, but do something interesting with it in terms of story, which is what would have been done, say, 5-6 years ago, then I would have been fine with it. Because I remember when Matt Smith announced he was leaving, there were some front runners. Peter Capaldi was obviously one of them, but another one was Olivia Colman, who I could definitely see playing the Doctor, and I would have been perfectly fine with it. And had, say, Coleman been there for Series 8, you wouldn't have had the ideology, at least not to the extent that we have now. So if you can do it in a way that makes sense, I'm fine with it. If you do it in the way that they did, then I do have a problem with it. It's the same thing with Star Trek, where another one of my videos that have done fairly well, I did around Christmas time, where Star Trek they're trying to position it as a paradigm shift. I'm like, you have a lead character that's, not a male and, not a white male, basically. And then I'm like, well, 20 years ago, we had, what's his name? Oh, yeah, Captain Sisko. That was 1993. Then we had Janeway, which was 1995. So this was done 25 plus years ago. There was no agenda. I don't remember Janeway ever pushing the fact that she was a female captain. I think Sisko's race might have come up maybe once or twice, but it wasn't an issue. It was about the story. Most people, myself included, think that Deep Space Nine is the best Star Trek series. And, we don't care about the fact that Sisko was black. We don't care about the fact that Bashir was a Muslim. We don't care about the fact that it had actual strong female characters. It's just, it was a good show. So they're pushing things that haven't been an issue for decades and trying to make issues out of them. And by doing that, they're alienating everyone. And it's an odd state of affairs where you have the big three, which is Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who. And all three of them have fallen victim to the same thing and have basically been destroyed at the same time. And I think it's also coming for Marvel. Post Endgame, I think Endgame, for me, I'm kind of looking at it as a funeral for the MCU, but you're going to see that drop off a cliff as well.
Yep. Oh, totally agree. As a matter of fact, video, sorry, I have to shameless plug.
Yeah.
Video incoming right after this live stream. I'm halfway done editing it. But yeah, and well, they've been mapping it out in Marvel for quite some time. But these things, like you said, are destroyed beyond repair. I mean, the I honestly don't think the people who are in charge of these things, they don't care. That's first and foremost, they don't care. Second, I don't think they realize that it's destroyed beyond repair. When you alienate a hardcore fan base, they don't come back. And if they do, it's as casual fans. They don't come back as hardcore fans. If, like, say that, 5 years from now, they regenerate the Doctor and it's male again and things are kind of back to normal. I honestly don't know. I like you said, it's still the BBC producing it, so I'm gonna go, probably not.
Attacking the fans, which is especially what Star Wars has done.
Yep.
People have more choices than they had before. There are a lot of good shows out there. Like, I recently discovered The Expanse. I recently discovered Counterpart, and then it was canceled.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Well, Prime will pick it up, hopefully. But I think Doctor Who and Star Wars, I think at this point, are probably damaged beyond repair. Star Trek, I think, is the only one out of the three of them that maybe can be salvaged, and that's only because Star Trek Discovery has been such a non-event. The general public isn't even really aware of it. So I mentioned it to people, and I'm like, Star Trek what? So Star Trek Discovery was dead from the beginning. Like, they announced it, and I had no interest in it because I knew which way it was going to go. I think Star Wars and Doctor Who are different, because unlike Discovery, they were both very high profile. And I don't think either of them can go back from that. Like, Star Wars can try. I have no interest in whatever for The Rise of Skywalker. Mandalorian looks interesting, but I'm not excited for it. Doctor Who, I don't know. Jodie Whittaker has just been so nasty, and it's also going to be at the MCU. Brie Larson, like that you could write a movie about that. Like, just watching her interview with Chris Hemsworth last week. I don't think these shows are going to come back. I think Star Trek maybe at some point, because Star Trek, it's had a down period before. Well, Doctor Who did too, but Star Trek from about 2001 to around 2002, 2003, the quality was terrible. I like Janeway, I like the Doctor, but I've never been much of a Voyager fan. Nemesis was terrible, and Enterprise started out on the wrong footing to the point where it's getting less than 100,000 views per episode, or I think it was around 200,000 views. It's what it bottomed out at, and we're talking around 2003, which was bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah. It's so Star Trek has bottomed out before and came back, but I think it's just mainly the only saving grace is nobody cared about Discovery from the beginning, and it hasn't been out in front. But Doctor Who, it sucks, but I think it's done. Even with some, like, Big Finish, I still follow. I'm debating renewing my subscription because they haven't gone full on SJW, but there have been little one-liners thrown in. But Big Finish, it's a little bit different for them. They have to turn a profit. They're under BBC guidelines, but they're still an independent company. But yeah, I think sadly these franchises, except for maybe Star Trek, have run its course, and it's going to happen with the MCU after Endgame. But the good thing is, I think we'll see a turnaround, because outside of the BBC, you have to make a profit off this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's, there's a reason why they say get woke, go broke. So at some point, we will see a complete turnaround. I'm just hoping that it comes sooner rather than later. But BBC, it's funded with public money, so I don't think it's coming back.
No, and I think it'll get canceled. I think I'm going to get to the super chats in just a second, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll get to the chat a little bit too. But with the BBC, I've been just musing it around in my brain. Wow, 5 years ago they were in so much better shape. They had a Top Gear that was the biggest show in the world. It was in the most countries. They had the other biggest show, one of the biggest shows in the world, with Doctor Who in a bunch of countries. They had just signed a contract with China to distribute it there. And Sherlock, you're right. And Sherlock, which was arguably in the States prior to the 50th anniversary thing, more, I don't know, more normies were into Sherlock. People were really into it, and they really screwed up that show too.
Yeah, I still haven't watched the last season.
I haven't either. And now they don't have any of those things. And I mean, at some point they need to make money. And I've read in multiple occasions, I don't know this for a fact, but I would guess that Doctor Who gets paid for a lot by its licenses. And it might be under current contracts from older licenses that were signed during the Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi era. But once those things run out, nobody's going to buy this crap. No. Nobody was buying the merchandise. I've talked to multiple comic shop owners now, and I've done some very unscientific things by sending my kids out and making him ask his friends at school, like, do they watch Doctor Who? Do they watch Star Trek? A resounding no. And most kids, like you said, didn't even know Star Trek Discovery was on the air. So most kids said, what's a Star Trek? Which is very discouraging.
Yeah, that's when you know you're old. I get that with the X-Files too.
I love the X-Files. See, you have great taste. Real quick, what did you think of the last season
of the X-Files?
Yeah.
It's a situation of some things are better left in the past. The problem with the X-Files, I think, was just magnified when it came back. Where X-Files, it was two shows simultaneously. What I always loved about the X-Files were the Monster of the Week episodes.
Yep.
But then you had the Mythology episodes, which about halfway through the original run, they just kind of went off the rails. And when I rewatched the X-Files, I never rewatched those episodes. It's the Monster of the Week stuff. But then when they brought the Mythology back, I'm like, wow, this isn't going anywhere. But even the standalone episodes in the final season were weak. I picked it up on Blu-ray probably almost a year ago now. I have yet to watch it. Whereas with the original run, when this season would come out on DVD, I'd probably have the thing watched all the way through in 2 days. So X-Files, it was nice for nostalgia. I think the first run, the 6 episodes in 2016, at least episodes 2 through 5 were decent, but
yep.
They just kind of lost the mojo, if we want to put it that way, when they came back in 2018. And it was sad to see it go out the way it did, with an attempt to make another cliffhanger. And the fact that they retconned everything from season 1, I'm like, really, guys, you made us wait 2 years for that.
Yeah.
I think it does need closure, but I don't know, the X-Files, it's had up and downs too. Like it's never done well. Neither of the movies are great. The golden age of the X-Files is really season 1 through 5, when it was shot in British Columbia
and Canada. Yep.
As soon as they moved to California for season 6, then the quality just went downhill. It became a borderline comedy show. I used to compare it to, it's like Ally McBeal by the time Mulder left. And I actually didn't mind the Doggett era, because they did drop the comedy and went back to just all-out horror, which season 8 was okay, but then season 9 again just kind of fell completely off the rails.
Yeah.
So X-Files, better left in the past. Although for anybody, if you have not picked up the Blu-rays, pick up the Blu-rays. Literally, you watch season 1 from 1993 and it looks like it was shot last week. By far the best restoration job I've ever seen.
It's beautiful. And the only episode I can speak for the last one is the Mr. Chuckleteeth one was pretty damn good. That felt like an X-Files episode from last season, but that was it.
Was that the Darren Morgan episode, the comedy one?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, no, it was the Darren Morgan one was pretty good too. The comedy.
He wrote one for both seasons. His were always nice change of pace.
Yeah, both of his were good. With the lizard guy, with the guy from Flight of the Concords. And the Kiwi guy, and the Mr. Chuckleteeth was the kid show one. It was good. It was good. It was properly creepy and good. I'm going to get to a couple super chats here because we're a little behind, but and sorry folks, I'm not getting the chat. This is like, this is the first time I've talked to Bowlestrek, so I'm going to let him, he's got the floor.
So yeah, blame me folks. It's yeah, it's all my fault.
Nah, it's not. Okay. So again, Hungry Soldier, greeting from Israel. You're the first person who said they're from Israel. So that's brilliant. because I was recently in Italy and I realized like how nobody watches YouTube in Italy, or in Sicily anyway. Tharies, £2. Again, luckily you inspired others to take up the fight. Yeah, and you're doing a great job, Tharies, by the way. Well done, sir.
Yep, we've been watching your videos, dude, and like I said, just keep your eyes peeled for a guest appearance, possibly. I'm not spoiling anything.
Nice. And yeah, he had a video do real well, so that was good. So fully support. Hey, we're all in this together. We're all in this together.
10,000 view video. I remember when that happened, and that's it's always a good feeling.
Yep. Phil G, $5. This is great. My all-time two favorite YouTubers in the same live cast. You are both awesome.
Thanks,
yeah, thank you, Phil. Long live the GOAT. Stay strong, you guys. We will. As you heard from Bowlestrek, and I'm the same way. I was after the Captain Marvel kerfuffle on my channel. I kind of don't. The algorithm be damned. I'm just gonna make what I like to make, and especially after getting the effing fake copyright strike.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It's you were down for what? Was it almost a week?
I was down for a week prior to me going on vacation. So basically my channel was down for 3 weeks. Now 2 weeks was my fault. So, and yeah, and then they hit Mecha Random right after me. And yeah, I think that was a little warning shot.
Gotten the worst of it, actually. Like, she's the only one that's gotten actual threats from people within the actual Star Trek community. Yeah, for some reason, she seems to be a big target, which is BS. But yeah,
because she's female and she breaks the narrative. And yeah, it's also, I mean, like, Mecca, don't take this wrong. I know Mecca. I've talked to Mecca. It's people will judge her by her looks and maybe say she looks like an SJW, but she's definitely not.
Oh, no, she's not.
Guarantee that. And yeah, that's another thing that probably puts a little bit of a target on her back, but she's not going to change. And by the way, she's got a GoFundMe for the Star Trek convention. Go check it out if you could donate a couple dollars.
Yeah, I saw that today too.
I am going to the Star. Man, I would love to see you down there. Vegas Star Trek convention. I'm going to be there.
We'll see. When is that anyway?
It's at the end of July, July 31st to August 4th, and we can talk off the live stream. I could definitely give you some information, and yeah, because I want to try to get a bunch of. It's my 50th birthday, and I'd love to get a bunch of YouTubers down there. And I got a place where we could do a meetup and have a big live stream, and I think it'd be great.
I'll put that on my list. Can't make any promises because it costs a small fortune to fly from Canada, but
yep,
we'll see. I might.
Hey, there's crowdfunding's always a possibility.
There is that, yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to try to get your name right here. If I don't, I'm sorry. TX Texrawi. Sorry, it's TXRWAUY for £10. Hi, chaps. Agree with a lot of your analysis on STD and Doctor Who. If the BBC want a female Time Lord, they should make a Romana series or one based on Leela. Imagine her with the access to the Gallifreyan tech. That's what I have been saying all along.
They've been doing it on Big Finish for years. It would make a great show.
And yeah, exactly. And then you can simultaneously have a Doctor Who show and then a female Time Lord running. Actually, when one ends, you can have the other one start, and that would be almost like year-round Doctor Who. And
Dr. Donna, find a way to make that a thing.
Yeah, something. And like I've said before, if the female Doctor needs to be the bestest ever, as long as it's written like a believable character, I'm fine with that. I've always been fine with that. And I'm with you. Listen, it would be a hard thing to do, but I could have been won over by especially an Olivia Colman female Doctor. And oh my God, Agent Carter. If Agent Carter was, I can't remember her name. And they were written just like Doctor Who. Yeah, there was a chance I could have got one over. Totally. But they really...
Gillian Anderson, she's done work for the BBC, and she actually pulls off a convincing British accent as well.
She does.
She's the Doctor.
She was a great Bowie in American Gods. So,
Another thing I've recently discovered. Yeah, if you're looking for good TV, American Gods.
Yeah, American Gods is great. And I will be covering the last 2 episodes on my live channel. Jen Eric for 100 Canadian dollars. Dang. You got a PayPal, right? You got a PayPal, Bowlestrek?
No.
Well, okay. Well,
I may get a PayPal, but yeah, it's outside of monetizing my videos. Yeah, I haven't really done much beyond that. It's for me, YouTube. There are times when I've done it full time, but for the most part, it's kind of just a secondary job. That's, in case you're wondering, I often work on contract, so that's when I disappear or my videos become sparse. That's usually why, and you can often tell when I'm not on contract because I'm uploading every day. But yeah, it's I would consider that as well. We'll have to see.
yeah. It's a gig economy, folks. It's how it's working. Well, at least that's what they tell us. Cisco.
No, in theory, yeah. But yeah, that actually, from my experience, that's exactly what it's like.
Cisco, black single father, Bashir, terminal bachelor Muslim, with BFF Celtic man. Yep. Beverly Crusher was from a colony of Celts with actual magic, according to the Ghost Romance episode. I think Star Trek moved past our hangups, which is why I hate Discovery being so woke. Jen Eric, exactly. Oh my God. Just don't watch any interview with any of the crew or cast from that show, because it'll make your fracking head explode. I had to sit through those goddamn freaking Blu-ray special features, which are seared in my brain now.
Well, watch Anson Mount, his recent interview, where you could tell that he was trying very hard to be civil. There's some interesting body language going on there. So I'll listen to Anson Mount, but that's it.
Yep. And there's no Mount. You can sign every petition and back up the Brinks truck. That he ain't come back. There's no way he's coming back.
Not under Kurtzman.
Nope. Oh, the stuff I've been hearing. I know I talk about it publicly, some of the general stuff, but the stuff I've been hearing is nuts. But a lot of it's like super hearsay, so I can't really report it. I'll talk to you about it, but it's total chaos right now, folks. I guess after the premiere, an email went out, and there is quite a battle going on. And apparently, Kurtzman, I don't know how much I can say. In my opinion, seems like a very, I don't want to use the word toxic, just kind of a backstabby person, in my opinion, from what I've heard. So
yeah, I get that impression just by watching the guy talk.
Yeah. Oh, there's an interview where he's got the beard. So it's the latest interview with Trek Core, I think, and I put it in my last video.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, watch that whole. If for you guys in the audience, watch that whole interview. Just watch his body language. David Deister for $15. Nerdrotic. My sister likes the female Doctor, but I think the show is out of ideas. Star Wars is a joke, and Star Trek is a shadow of its former glory. # me too.
Not even a shadow. There's no resemblance to Star Trek at its worst. Give me Enterprise season 2 any day over this crap.
Yeah, I have a whole new appreciation for Enterprise now. I really do.
I've gone back to it because I picked it up on Blu-ray a couple years ago and never watched it. I've been dipping in and out. I'm like, damn, this actually was a good show. I think it's better than Voyager, but that's another argument altogether. But I'm like, yeah, that's Star Trek. The only thing that felt like Star Trek this time was the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, I know we haven't gotten into it much, but it's the way that episode ended where, okay, yeah, this is the Star Trek that you want. You have Captain Pike on the Enterprise that actually looks like the Enterprise, except for the fact that the turbolift is behind a hallway. I guess that's the 25%. But it's like, yeah, so it looks like Star Trek. It sounds like Star Trek. They're riding off, and you're stuck with these people. Or even when it was the overblown battle sequences going back and forth between the Enterprise and Discovery Bridge, I'm like, real Star Trek, fake Star Trek. And then they go away. I'm like, I don't want to see them again. I want to follow Captain Pike. I don't know. They seem to have something against men on the bridge, but that's that's even imposter Spock. Like I'll take him over the other crap. I'm like, Captain Pike, that's the show that I want to see. And then I was just sad, like it was a terrible episode. But then I'm just depressed at the end. I'm like, this is the Star Trek I want to see, and we're not going to see it. So it literally felt like Kurtzman giving the middle finger to Star Trek fans, the few that are still watching. And it's like, yeah, this is what you want. You're not going to get it. But hey, Michael Burnham's going to be back.
Yay. Oh, hey, and her mom.
Oh yeah, her mom in her Iron Man suit.
They can have an acting off and see how breathy they can get with their language.
Oh,
Time
God.
travel is not for the faint of heart. So yeah, I'm sure you noticed, audience, did you notice that they ended both seasons with the Enterprise?
Oh yeah.
They did that deliberately so you can feel nostalgic. So the entire show was done by marketing research. What they did is they strip mined Brian Fuller's treatment, which didn't have, I think it had a couple finished scripts, but mostly it was an outline, and they strip mined it for 2 years. This was the initial pitch was it was supposed to be an anthology show with an overarching theme that one of the episodes had a Michael Burnham character in it who wasn't a commander or anything. She wasn't anything like she was in this show. And they are still strip mining that. And what they did was and this is the J.J. Abrams magic mystery box bullshit snake oil, is it's pop music. It's like generic crap pop music. They hit certain beats, and they hit what is that called again when you hit with a point in your pop music, that's your hook. So they hit hooks at a certain amount of time, and the stuff in between is just mindless gobbledygook bullshit. And Mecca put it right. This is a show for people who are watching it on their phone while they're messaging a friend and working or something.
Like ADD Trek.
Yep. Exactly. And that's it's got its defenders. I mean, people tried to come in my live stream last night. It's less and less. I used to get hit pretty hard by Star Trek trolls, and 2 came in last night, and it's like, go home, little kids. But yeah, that last episode really showed why the series sucked. And as far as I'm going to go back, because I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to fact check myself. But I'm pretty damn sure, unless it's a singular scene where you're focusing on a male character, unless it's Paul Stamets, every other scene it's like 2-to-1 female to male. Now, normally I love these odds. These are odds I generally like in life. Okay. I'm not saying I'm against it, but when it's so comically deliberate, the way it's done in Star Trek, you just start laughing.
It's deliberate, because I've noticed the same thing myself.
Yeah, and then they've said it. They've come out and just my next video, I'll put this. I'm going to put almost the full Sonequa Martin Green interview I've talked about this a lot, from the Blu-ray special features, and you guys can see her acting is kind of like how she talks. So kind of like this, lots of breath.
Side.
Yep. Oh yeah. Tharies says, I'm in Cardiff. Who is made and still no merch? No, there's no merch there.
Really?
Whoa.
You're the home of Doctor Who.
Tharies, that is a video. Make that video.
World-class bullshitters. Go around Cardiff, see what's there.
Yeah, I'm seriously that might be your first million hit view video there. Well, at least 100K. Do it. Well,
now the Blu-ray's going for $40 when the average selling price of every other season was $80, and it was $40 before release, and it still hasn't gone back up because nobody wants to buy it.
Nope. No, you're right. At the Best Buy near me, the Resolution, the same 2 have been sitting on the shelf for 3 weeks now. I've been there every weekend.
And I was anybody that has followed my channel knows that my main focus used to be my Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collection. Guess what Blu-rays I didn't buy? I bought the classic series ones, and I just try and pretend that the logo isn't there. But yeah, it's my Doctor Who series or collection ends with season 10 or series 10. So if people have asked, why was there no update for those? Well, because I didn't buy them and because I won't be buying them.
Nope.
I
And
might get them for free, but I'm not buying them.
yeah, like the Tom Baker one, I'm sorry and shame myself for. I purchased it off Amazon with that logo, and I went again, and that was the last and only thing I will buy with that logo on it. I got the Peter Davison one on eBay, and I asked the guy to take it out of the case and just send me the
If
disc.
you can get past it, and for anybody
No.
who's a Doctor Who fan, they are worth checking out. Well, in the UK they're limited, which I don't understand that at all.
Why?
But I have all three of them, and especially with the first Davison series, where and actually Tom Baker's final season, for the non-studio segments, they actually have the original film footage, so it actually has been rescanned in high definition, and the quality is it's absolutely amazing. We need fan covers. We'll do fan covers, and then it will be fine.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because we still get kind of screwed in Region 1 because the Macra Terror is not coming out until October. There's no guarantee we're even going to get that on Blu-ray. Shadow we didn't get on Blu-ray. Power of the Daleks we didn't get on Blu-ray, but we got the Whittaker years on Blu-ray.
Fuck. I have my regionless DVD player, or Blu-ray player, which honestly, I'll get back to the super chats in a second. You love physical media. I love physical media, but it's on its way out, folks. Now, DVDs will probably be made for a very long time because they're internationally, they still sell very well. You want to know the funny thing is I used to make Blu-rays and DVDs for Technicolor. I was a pre-mastering technician. So basically, I did a checklist. So the compression guys and the QC guys I would be the last line of defense. So I'd do a QC on it. I would compress a little bit. I'd fart a little around with the menus a little bit. I worked on Game of Thrones season 1. I worked on the menu. That's me. Of course, there's no credit on it or anything. And then I went and literally burned the master. So the master it's a digital copy, and I burned it on Nero.
I remember Nero. I don't even think Nero's
Nero. Technicolor was used. This was 2011. So Technicolor was using Nero, and it was a pirated version. So they said, don't ever update it, which was hilarious. So basically True Blood seasons 1 through 2 or 3, Game of Thrones season 1, the first Thor movie were burnt on pirated software.
Holy crap.
I held the master to Thor. That was cool. It was like this big tape. It was like this big, and it was like they had multiple masters, but it's like they have like 5 or something like that. And it was a master of Thor. I was like, oh my god! And I could have just, but I didn't.
Yeah, I think my own take on physical media. I think Blu-rays and 4Ks, it's going to become what Laserdisc was, say in the 80s and 90s, where it's like vinyl for a collector's market. Scream Factory, Arrow, Kino, all of those companies, they're still going to be around because they're profitable because they make it for a select group of people.
Yep.
So I think that will continue. But in terms of mainstream, maybe for a while we might get major releases, but it's going to survive. But it's going to be boutique companies because it's the same thing as vinyl. There's no vinyl equivalent when it comes to movies, where the closest you'll get is a 4K disc. And there's always going to be a small percentage of people that want the actual physical copy.
Here.
And I'll pay $30-$40 for it. But yeah, it's you're going to have to drag it out of my cold, dead hands. But yeah, no, Scream Factory, as I pre-order everything they put out, well, at least the collector's edition, sight unseen. And I'm going to be doing that as long as I can. But Shout Factory, which parent company of Scream Factory, I think they put out a record number of releases last year. So the boutique companies are actually doing really well. But in terms of the mainstream, it's everybody wants to go streaming. I'm like, well, folks, this is the problem with streaming. So you got your Netflix, you've got your Amazon Prime, you've got Hulu in Canada. We've got this thing called Crave. Chances are, especially if you're like us and you're into more obscure films, the chances of finding that on any of those streaming services is probably 1 in 100. Most of the Scream Factory stuff you're not going to see on Netflix. So don't throw your stuff out, folks, because especially in Canada, our Netflix is even more limited than the US. So if you like that film on Netflix and you want to throw out your DVD or Blu-ray, don't do it because it's going to disappear. Remember, at one point they had all of the X-Files on there. I believe that's gone. They
Yep.
had House on there. That's been moved to Prime. Um, Angel was pulled a few years ago. I think they've pulled Buffy as well. I still have my DVDs and Blu-rays of all that, so I can watch it. But because you threw everything out, you can't. I've got a video coming out about that where I'm going to start going back to covering a little bit of physical media. But it is depressing. But it's the cycle of things. The normies, as we call them, they don't really care about collecting. They just want to get what's cheap, which is why DVD is still the king for big releases. But
it is, and you can get Angel at here at Walmart's. Actually, the day you sent me that message about Dave Cullen, I was in the parking lot of a Walmart, and I bought the Angel series for like $30 on DVD. I was stoked. So that's the way to go. And right now you can bargain bin tons of DVDs, and for TV shows you don't need 4K quality. It's nice to have, but you don't need it. It's better. And the stuff you own, those digital copies you own, if those services die or lose the rights to that stuff,
is dead.
Yeah. Ultraviolet is dead. Yeah, it's funny. My one of my very good friends helped create that. He used to be a host on this show. John Reed. Yeah.
Actually, I think I've heard. I've heard you mention that before.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to a couple more. Let's get some super chats here. Jen, Eric. Okay. Wait. Where was I? Oh, Tharis. Okay. Vexkin for $20. This is why I've given up on mainstream media these days. Most is crap. There are a few gems like Alita, How to Train Your Dragon, few others. I just want good sci-fi and fantasy. Sick of putting up with agendas before storytelling. Agreed. I think that's why I'm liking some stuff that I normally wouldn't like. Bowlestrek. Like, I came out of Aquaman, which I don't know, if Aquaman came out 5 years ago, I probably would have called it trash, but I'm like, wow, they didn't preach at me for 2 hours. I think I actually had a good time. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but
no, I liked it because I think there's a time in film history that in some ways is comparable to what we're seeing now. Whereas we've had a good run, but now outside of horror, which somehow seems to have largely escaped the SJW trend, but we're seeing the quality just go down the toilet. I compare this to the late 90s and early 2000s, where there was, I think Nostalgia Critic actually calls it the dark days of cinema. But there was a time where quality across the board just went to crap, where you had bad remakes of TV shows. Like when something like The Matrix came out in 99, we're like, oh, holy crap, something that's actually good. Or when Lord of the Rings came out, everybody was blown away because all we were getting was regurgitated garbage. I'd say the high point of that would have been Batman and Robin, where it was just Batman and Robin over and over again. Whereas throughout the 2000s, and I think around 2005 is when things finally started to improve. And we had a good 10 years of decent movies across the board. And then the SJW trend kind of went off the rails around 2015.
Yep.
So we're kind of in that low period again, but I'm hopeful it will come back. But also I don't mean to disparage young people just as a group. On average, not everyone, but those of us that were around in the 80s or 90s, our experience is completely different than, say, somebody that was born after 2000, where you've always had everything kind of spoon-fed you in terms of entertainment from Netflix. It's Netflix, Prime, they're all curated lists. Whereas us, we'd have to go into a video store, we'd have to go and select ourselves what we wanted to watch, which is why I still miss Blockbuster to this day. So I think part of it is tastes have changed, where it's not so much you doing the selecting, but the selecting is done for you, which I think it's a shame. But if anybody is into horror, check out pretty much any Scream Factory Collector's Edition. Just sight unseen if you want to see what a good horror movie is. I don't think they've really had a miss yet in their Collector's Editions. But yeah.
No, and listen, I grew up, I'm old. So I was born in 69. So I grew up in the 70s, which was a very interesting time in cinema, probably one of the best. Or 80s was, man, that was the sweet spot for me. So in 1982, I was 12. And I saw Blade Runner.
Came out in 82.
Yeah, and it was just everything. That's the perfect age to soak that stuff up. But in the 70s, the film industry was still big, but it wasn't like huge. Like Steven Spielberg was living in a suburban home, you know, like he was making movies and he lived in like he didn't live in this palace that he lives in now. And there wasn't the money was not like it was now. It was still a big industry, but I mean, arguably it wasn't the biggest industry in the world. The music industry was a more rich, more important industry in the 70s and the 60s. God dang it. I turned off my phone. And it was weird. It was the 80s. It was the 70s and 80s that really brought the film industry like to the stratosphere. It was still making millions and millions and millions of dollars, of course. But it just went crazy. And you're absolutely right. We're in this. I've talked about it here before. So like there's 20-year rules with cycles and trends. There's rules within rules, but there's the 20-year cycle. Like, you know, the 80s gets popular, you know, 20 years later, 30 years later, we're just on the cusp of 90s nostalgia, like huge 90s nostalgia. That's next. I think that the SJW thing, I think we're at the tail end. It's just going to peak before it completely gets old. But I mean, I'm seeing more and more people turning on this all the time. And there's people who are way ahead of the game on this, like Dave Cullen, stuff like that, calling this shit out 5 years ago when I would have never done it.
Yeah. Oh no, it's I used to watch him religiously, and it's like, okay, he's saying the stuff that I want to say, but I just don't have the guts. Same thing with Sargon. I was probably one of his first subscribers back in 2013. I'm like, yes, this guy is saying what I think, but I never would have spoken out back then. Now it's a completely different world.
Yep. Absolutely. And I was just trying to think, it's like, what Scream Factory thing? So Shout Factory and Scream Factory, when they started, a friend of mine who used to work at my comic store, that's why I was like, I know this name, they launched at Comic-Con, and I got a bunch of stuff. They give me a bunch of freebies, posters, all kinds of shit that I'm like, oh man, you would probably like that stuff. It's sitting in a box. So if I find it, I will send it to you. Awesome. But I got the Return of the Living Dead disc, which is one of my favorite all-time movies. Like, and it's so good. So if you can get that one
on my list, I've got it with the slipcover. Even some of my favorite horror movies, like, would we ever see anything like the original Dawn of the Dead today? We would never see anything like Last House on the Left today, which probably is the most disturbing movie I've seen. It's awesome, but it's disturbing as hell. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hell, you probably wouldn't even see the Human Centipede now. And that was only like 5-6 years ago. That is a disturbing movie.
That is a really, I can't unsee that movie.
No, it's warning. I watched the second one while eating. I probably should have done that.
They do have. I was just checking to see if they have The People Under the Stairs. Big fan of that movie, and they do.
Yeah, it's we've got it locally here. I keep meaning to buy it. It's still like $35. They're really expensive in Canada.
So the exteriors on that house were shot in a house in a place called Golden Hill in San Diego, and it's a rehab. It's a drug and alcohol rehab that I used to do a little work in, and that's how I knew that. I'm like, they shot all the exteriors at that house, which is another sort of house of horrors. Okay, back to the super chats because man, they're backing up. Jen Eric,
this is why I rarely do live streams because I'm just all over the place. It's my thing. That's why my videos are scripted.
No, this is what people love about live streams though, Bowlestrek. Because mine fly over. It's like I said last night, it's a cocaine conversation without the cocaine.
Yep.
You know, the only thing we're missing is me kind of tweaking out, working on a boombox or something, like taking apart a boombox. Do kids even know what a boombox is? I wonder.
Tapes are retro again, apparently, so possibly.
Why? Tapes sucked.
Oh yeah, they did. Friends, followers. Yeah, I remember although they actually sound better than early CDs. Early CDs that don't recommend.
They do. I kept all my cassette tapes. I'm glad I did. It's just because I don't throw anything away. I kept all my. I kept all my VHS, so I do have like the old Star Wars movies, the original cuts, and yeah.
I kept the cases. I have a bin full of all my original stuff. I got rid of the tapes, but I kept the actual cases.
That was the one that says CBS Fox on the side, right? Doesn't it say CBS Fox?
With the original Star Treks, it's the ones where they had the transporter pad at the front, and then
Oh yeah.
yeah, I've got all 79 of those, at least the covers in a box. I couldn't bring myself to throw them away.
Well, before I get to the super chat, I was like, I'm about to go broke because I don't have all the old Doctor Who stuff. I got digitally. One of the benefits of working at Technicolor is we had access to this giant digital catalog, even 5 years ago, that we were able to mine as much as we wanted, as long as we didn't share anything. And I took everything I could, like terabytes. This is a long time ago. So I have a box full of hard drives that are filled with shit. And that's where I got all the old Doctor Who stuff. It's terrible quality, but I've got it all that was out at the time. And I've just decided that I want to get that. I want it all on DVD now. And it's going to cost me a fortune.
I think last time I looked, I think at one point the Web Planet, oddly enough, was going for like $3,000 on Amazon.ca.
Ugh.
It's with those. Well, you could actually watch me do it almost in real time on my channel. But oh yeah, and here's a fun fact about the Doctor Who DVDs. What day did they launch in North America? September 11th, 2001.
No way.
I remember they announced it. The first three to come out was the Robots of Death, the Five Doctors, and the original Spearhead from Space. So we've been waiting for months, and at that point we still had HMV in Canada. So I remember waiting and like getting release day, and I'm going out. I had the day off work, and then 9/11 happened, and it just kind of ruined, needless to say. It's kind of the curse, because we all know what happened the day it premiered as well back in 1963. So it's kind of like the Doctor Who curse. But yeah, no, I from 2001, starting around 2003, I started pre-ordering them as they came out. But yeah, I bought the whole set as they came out on release day. So I got kind of lucky that way. But then a bunch of them went out of print around 2013 without any notice. It's just suddenly, oh, they're gone. And some of these hadn't been, I think the War Games had barely been out for 2 years when they got rid of it. I think some have been out for maybe a year when they discontinued them. And then all of a sudden they fetch collectors' prices. And just look at what the Two Doctors goes for now on Amazon. It's absolutely horrific.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was like, hopefully I can find some bulk collection somewhere around here in the Bay Area that nobody knows about. They're selling it at a garage sale or something like that. Yeah, because I remember they were available as early as 2 years ago at this book chain, the last Barnes & Noble, the last bookstore that's a chain that we have here, had a bunch of them just available that you can. I mean, they were still kind of jacked up prices, but better than what we got now. All right, let's get to the super chats real quick. Jen Eric says, Canadian $5. I love spending big amounts of money. Big amounts always seems to inspire big time donations from other people. Hail competition. Hail self-interest. Would love to come down. Would love to have you come down. And yeah, if we could do a meetup at Star Trek convention, that would be something else. So there's a bar. It's a nerd bar. It's like a sports bar, but it's a nerd bar. It's run by a French guy named Alex, and it's called the Millennium Fandom Bar. It's right near the Stratosphere in Vegas. Vegas is actually not a very expensive place to stay. They try to keep the hotel rooms pretty cheap, considering how nice the hotels are, because they want you to gamble. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're super cheap, but the plane flight would definitely be the most expensive thing. Food there is generally pretty cheap, because of course they want you to gamble. And yeah, it'd be a good place for a meetup. I think it would be a good place. Ventu Viper. I've seen you. Ventu Viper, $5. Not sure what is going on with all the wokeness. First Doctor Who, and now they are taking over everything, including making Elsa gay now. Everybody's going to be gay. Wait till Lord of the Rings comes on. I mean, Amazon Prime has been pretty damn decent lately, and it's got kind of the best shows, and Good Omens looks awesome. But yeah, when Lord of the Rings comes out, it's gonna be woke Lord of the Rings. And yeah, because Lord of the Rings has always been so sexual. In the past. Mm-hmm. Chief Koji, $10, a Vegas local here. Right on. Your first drink at Millennium Fandom Bar is on me. Brilliant. I was so happy to see it still there. So yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that'd be great. Tamarocks, my good friend Tamarocks. Hail Tamarocks. At least the Orville washes out the bad taste of Discovery, and it does.
Yep.
It does.
Well, I think you were saying in a recent video, it's the actual show has become the parody, and the parody has become the actual show, which is what we're looking at right now. The Orville is Star Trek, and Star Trek is like a bad SNL skit from the early 90s.
It is. It's going to be kind of the go-to thing when you parody this time in 10 or 15 years when people, it's Star Trek Discovery is like a mullet, I mean, actually, I don't mean to disrespect mullets by calling it Star Trek Discovery, but
I had a mullet. Somewhere I've got pictures. I had the king of all mullets back in the early 90s.
I want to see that. I kind of had one. I mean, it was like Kiefer Sutherland's haircut in Lost Boys. I had a haircut. It was spiky on top, so it was a semi mullet, but it was a little long in back.
I played in a metal band, so I guess it was kind of mandatory.
Nice. Do you have any recordings? Do you have any?
Some of my solo, I haven't played in about 5 years. Some of my solo stuff is up on Reverb Nation. The band that I played in the early 2000s, I think, is still on Spotify. Band was called If Nothing. I played guitar for them. That was the end of my semi-professional music career. But yeah, no, I don't look like I've lost most of my hair. So yeah, it's not going to happen now.
Oh, well, you've always got YouTube. So yeah,
I've got a hat. Well, I don't put myself on screen anymore anyway. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. I'm just a disembodied voice. Although if you want to see what I look at, just look at any of my videos. You can watch me age 25 years and 10.
Well, hey, it makes it easier to edit for sure. It's something, yeah, that's something I've thought about a lot. Demonic Bioman Peter Quinn, thank you for the £1. I appreciate the donation. Demonic Bioman, $5. Hey, Gary and Bowlestrek, your two channels keep battling it out for my number one. Thanks for being the honest voice of true fans. Dingle rocks. Hey, you don't need to pick. We're both awesome, but you can pick Bowlestrek. That's fine.
I will give it to Gary because, yeah, my videos have been sparse lately. So, yeah, we'll punish my laziness.
Punish. And I'm sure I'm sure there'll be more team ups in the future.
Oh,
I can see this is the first of many. Temporal Flux, £10. Can we mention the R2D2 droids and how the two ships managed to create a fleet of fighters like a Star Destroyer? Didn't the original series Enterprise only have 2 shuttles? Yeah.
What's with the shuttles? Yeah, I noticed that too. There's like 200 of them.
There were in the F did they put all those shuttles? And Temporal Flux, where was the rest of Starfleet? That was kind of a major battle.
Well, how did Spock's parents get there? And exactly how sorry, spoilers, and how in the hell did Saru's sister end up flying a shuttle? It's like, we're just going to throw this stuff in here. It's like I said, written by a 5-year-old. It's like, yeah, this would be cool. No, it's not.
Saru's sister showing up in the fighter and battling with
I actually laughed out loud when I saw that. I'm
like,
okay, this is the most over-the-top thing they've done this year. Well, that and Spock's parents just suddenly, okay, so how close are we to Vulcan? And who calls it the time crystal? That is something that a 5-year-old would come up with. Like, it's just, it's Mystery Science Theater 3000 someday is going to have a field day with these episodes.
They are. And that writer's quote unquote room, Byo-young Kim, and I forget the other girl's name from Rain, from the CW show Rain, are 2 of the main writers in the writer's room with, I think it's Heather Caden, who by all accounts was a good Star Trek writer. She did some Voyager books that Robert Meyer Burnett says have been great. Now, I haven't read them, so I don't know, but by all accounts, there's a lot of good Star Trek books out there, but a good novelist does not make a good screenwriter, especially when you're getting overruled by Alex Kurtzman. But those are the 2 culprits right there, and they are the ones writing the Section 31 show. So it's Byo-young Kim and some other girl, and they wrote Rain. That's their only writing credit
Oh
in
God,
the world.
Section 31 doesn't happen. I don't want the Picard series to happen at this point. I'm like, please don't destroy the next generation, for the love of God.
No, oh, no. My videos will be angry, very angry if it's bad. But
It's Kurtzman Trek. It's going to be a train wreck, and I feel bad for Patrick Stewart because he's an older guy. Like I think he's 80 now, or he's just about to turn 80. I'm like, really, like, this isn't fair to him. Like, who wants to see the great Captain Picard go out this way? I think it's just horrible. I'm like, just put it out of its misery before it starts.
exactly. I mean, they gave him an ungodly amount of money to where he could not say no, and then they agreed to film it in L.A., where it's going to be twice as much. As a matter of fact, my insider said something to the tune of $400 million this TV show is going to cost.
Good Lord. And the average cost for the next generation was what at its height? $1.3 million an episode?
Yep. 1.5. Yeah. Like nothing. And it was considered the most expensive television show back then.
Well, look at how much they've blown on Discovery, which, yes, fun fact, I live in the same province where that garbage is filmed. Actually, I think I know roughly where it is filmed, in Toronto. But how much money did they spend on season 2 of Discovery? Because wasn't something obscene, like, didn't the first episode cost something like $8 million or something like that?
The first episode cost over 10.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
like, how did that cost 10 million? It was like, where did it go?
Probably in what did Anson Mount said? The principal photography took 3 weeks, and then it was another week or two of pickups.
It was a week of pickups, so 4 weeks altogether.
Just to give you some perspective, they shot the entire Venom movie in 6 weeks. Principal, not the effects or anything. Principal with Tom Hardy here in San Francisco. 6 weeks, a movie. And yeah, Star Trek Discovery took the first episode took about as long. Now, one of those is too short and one is way too long, but that's just an example. Yeah. So Tina, correct me if I pronounce your last name wrong, Tina. I apologize. It's a Borton, Bortion. Abortion. That sounds bad. Bortion. I don't know. $5. Love both of your channels. So great to catch you both live. We love you, Tina. Thank you. And it is. I'm glad this happened. I'm really glad this happened.
This has been awesome, actually. Yeah, we've been trying to do this since what? Christmas? Almost. Yeah.
So, and I definitely want to do more. And I'd be happy to come on your channel. Come on, dude. You have keys to the channel. You can come on anytime.
Awesome. I have a feeling we'll be doing this quite often.
Oh yeah. So Thari's 2 more pounds here. I live in Cardiff, and merch dropping since Mattel. Since Mattel, okay. Since Mattel left, or since Matt left. I can't read. Since Matt left. Yeah, the merch has been dropping here. There's a place called Walgreens. I'm not sure if you have those in Canada, but it's a drugstore that's literally on every corner in San Francisco. In San Francisco, there's a bar, a liquor store, and a Walgreens.
Oh yeah, I've seen them. We have our own version. It's called Shoppers Drug Mart, where we have sometimes 3 on a street corner. So yeah, it's the same thing.
I found Doctor Who toys there. During the Matt Smith era, towards the end, there was Doctor Who toys in Walgreens, which is like hitting the big time. That was brilliant. It was the stupid 3 3/4 inch crappy pieces of shit one that fell apart all the time, but they were there, and they had play sets there, and sonic screwdrivers everywhere. And now they're nowhere. Like, you can't find them in Walmart. Even the Toys R Us days, right before it closed, there used to be able to find Doctor Who toys there. Nope, nothing. You can find them in comic stores randomly, and you will not find there's a shop that Hot Topic carried some stuff, but they couldn't sell it over Christmas. So everything that is there, and it's like pop vinyls and crap, are all 50% off now. No, there's no merch. And I do believe Big Chief, which I was a big fan of, Big Chief does the 1/6 scales. Uh, they did a campaign on the Jody 1/6 scale action figure. I think they needed 500 to put it in production. They only got 300 orders. Now I don't know if it went into production or it did not. Oh, they have a Paul McGann one. See, I knew I shouldn't have gone to this site. Fuck.
Where'd you go?
Big Chief Collectibles. They sell 1/6 scale Doctor Who figures that are excellent.
I'm not going to look. I'm trying to save up for a new computer. So
yeah, don't look. Don't look. I won't share the screen. I'm just going. The Paul McGann one. It doesn't look that great, to be honest with you. But well, let me guess here. 1/6 scale figures. Yeah. So they had a 13th Doctor up, and it looks like they only sold like 300. It's pre-order. Yeah, it's $260. Oh my god, you're gonna want to see this because you won't want. Okay, everybody, cringe warning.
Okay.
Cringe warning. Here it comes. Would you pay like $300 for that?
What the hell?
And usually they do like really good jobs.
That looks terrible.
It looks terrible.
Although, no, they got the look right. The glare that she gives the white males once an episode, they've got that down perfect. So I guess it is an accurate representation when you look at it from that point of view.
The Brie Larson School of Acting, or is it the Jodie Whittaker School of Acting? I don't know.
I think they came from the same robot factory.
Whittaker and Larson Robot Factory. Oh my god, that's terrible. The Paul McGann one looks kind of cross-eyed, so I'm a little disappointed in that, but otherwise love Paul McGann. So
yes, Paul McGann for Dr. 14 if it ever comes back.
Yeah, please give him another chance. He deserves it. I don't know.
Like the Doctor's, it's in canon. The Doctor can revisit old faces.
Yep.
Paul McGann blew everybody away in the total 7 minutes he was on screen in 2013. And if you've never listened to his Big Finish audios, listen to his Big Finish audios, and then you can see what kind of Doctor he could have been. Well, what kind of Doctor he is.
Dark Eyes. Oh,
yep.
Dark Eyes is so good.
The Chimes of Midnight.
Oh, yes. Big Finish is brilliant, folks. Definitely worth the money. Worth the
there is some minor wokeness in there, folks, but I think that's actually mandated by the BBC and it's off to the periphery. But yeah, I think I decided, I'm renewing my subscription. I've been debating that for the past week, but yeah, Big Finish, you'll get my money for another year.
Another year, but I really love the 50th anniversary special they did. Oh god, why am I blanking on the name now?
The one that they did with each Doctor that was done.
With Tom Baker and all that. With all of them.
Now that you're blanking on it, I'm blanking on it. Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
God, I listened to it like 70 times. It's great. I've listened to that more than I watched the 50th anniversary episode, and I'm blanking on the time, but it was so good. All right, so here I got to get through these. Okay, temporal flux. Okay, I mentioned that. Love your channels. I live in Cardiff. Okay, Matt Joseph, $5. Arrow Video Shop is having a sale right now, and I spent around $200. Good. Physical media rules and the joy of buying physical media. I love it. We're nerds.
So yeah, I could never buy from American sites because I had to pay Canadian prices, and right now we're at 75 cents. Plus shipping, so yeah, I'm kind of stuck with
that.
Amazon.ca. But we have one major retailer left in Canada, Sunrise Records, which thank God we still have one locally, and that's the only place left that you can really buy physical media in Canada. Walmart and Best Buy are now both down to half a shelf, so we've still got that. So that and Amazon is where I have to get my my stuff from. Although I might take a look, see what kind of deals I can find.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble's like the last place, and it's reducing. And you're right, Target and Walmart are just nothing. So I'm pretty much it's internet or comic shops.
See, we don't even have that. Our last comic shop, I think, just went out of business about 6 weeks ago, or the one that we had locally.
That sucks. Not surprised. Sid Fix for $10. Hey Gary. It's like the entertainment industry is living out Monty Python's Bring Out Your Dead skit. All these franchises are on the cart with Terminator and the MCU next up. Oh, the Herminator is going to be.
Oh, that's going to be endless material. That'll be my material for the summer. Like it's almost I can plot out what I'm going to be covering over the next year.
Yeah, I mean, we got to thank him for that.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
You and I needed carryover to Doctor Who because it's not going to be until, by all accounts, spring of next year. Thankfully, Bree rolled around and opened up her mouth and helped a lot of us.
You can't make that stuff up. Like I've never seen anything like Brie Larson. It's like, well, yeah. Did you see Unicorn Store? I think you did, right?
I did. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Loved your by the way, great review. You did a great review. Please everybody go watch his review if you haven't.
Was demonetized in 5 minutes, but yeah, thanks, Gary. But yeah, it's honestly, if you have Netflix, like there's a certain line between bad and so bad it's good, and this one is the so bad it's good to the farthest extreme you can get. This is literally, I think, possibly the worst movie I've ever seen on any level. I don't pretend to be a directing expert, but even I can tell, like, even if you look at the way the shots are framed, again, I'll use the 5-year-old analogy. It's like it was directed by a kid. The strangest script, the strangest acting, and I felt sorry for the poor horse, that poor guy.
Yeah. And I love the whole, like, it's very anti-male, of course, but she needs men to validate her, and then she uses a unicorn, which is the biggest phallic symbol in the history of phallic symbols, at the end of the film. And I do feel sorry for the horse, and I love that line.
Well, I loved her boss. I'm like, it was so over the top that actually was funny. And her parents were made to be such dumbasses, like old white people over 30.
Yep. And oh god, I keep for Brad Whitford or whatever his name is, the guy who was in Ally McBeal, and like I cannot stand him. Like I just can't. And yeah, I watched it on vacation. I was in Sicily.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were about to throw your laptop into the river or something like that. I don't know. That was STD that did that.
That was STD. I was overlooking the Mediterranean on a cliff, and I'm watching it. And I just bought this laptop. I'm like, it really would be funny if I threw it. It would fall like a mile down, because in Sicily they like to build cities on mile-high cliffs over the ocean because that's not treacherous at all. And it triggered me quite a bit, but it was really, really bad, and it was funny. I was laughing, and my wife thought it was the worst piece of shit ever made. She was digging it. But my wife got mad when she knocks down her dad's playhouse and like doesn't apologize for it. And the dad's all, I'm sorry, I didn't build you a better playhouse. And she, and then that brings
herself.
And that brings me back to Star Trek Discovery and that trip that Amanda and Sarek made, so Sarek could say he's sorry and apologize for being a bad father.
Well, how did they get there? I don't think they actually explained that.
No, they said, well, we found out where you were from Starfleet. So, okay.
It's the same logic that comes up with the terminology like time crystal.
Time crystal and the super secret Section 31.
Yeah, the Section 31 that even in DS9 nobody knew about, but now apparently everybody knows about it. And it was actually comedy the way they explained away canon. I'm like, okay, so everything's classified. How exactly does that work? How many people disappeared with that ship?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that their families are not allowed to speak to them under threat of treason? I'm like, wow. I'm like, just wow.
I honestly think the writers don't know what classified means. I mean, I think maybe they think it erases their minds. It actually erases their brains. I don't know. Turns out Mikey Spock is her own mom, says Stunned Soul. You know,
I could see that.
I could definitely see that.
I could see them doing anything at this point.
Yeah, I could get really crude there. I wouldn't, though. It's a kid's show. I was going to get very crude. DJM Voices, $5. Hail, Gary, quick drop to show some love. Lord of the Rings on Prime is going to be Lord of the Rings. Just wait. Yep. Oh, yeah. DJM Voices. That is some planned material right there. That aforementioned planned material. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready because that one's gonna piss me off. But they're gonna
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
I
delve
mean,
into that too. Oh, they will.
Jen Eric, Canadian $5. So many of Fox's live shows are actually recorded in Toronto. Toronto. How do you say Toronto?
Toronto.
Okay.
It's yeah, it's Hollywood North. It's yeah, if you just look at what's everything shot in Toronto now. Well, because it's the fifth largest city on the continent, so it easily passes for any American city. Like if anybody's ever been to Toronto, the 401, which is the main artery that goes through, is the busiest highway in North America. It's if you haven't driven on freeways before, don't go to Toronto. The city's a freaking nightmare.
Oh God, what show? I can't remember the show. I was watching some show that I got into, and I can't remember the name of it now. That had I don't know if I'm going to be really bad about these descriptions, but it had the guy from the Dead Zone who played the serial killer who killed himself with the scissors in David Cronenberg's Dead Zone, and then it had the doctor from Battlestar Galactica in it, and it was like a cop show. And what the hell was it called? I got so addicted to it. But I can't remember the title now, so never mind. It was a good show. It had the doctor who was on Battlestar Galactica who smoked, who's now passed away, was a longtime Canadian character actor. Rest in peace.
That's one show that I still have to watch. All these
Battle-
years, I still have not watched the new Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, it's so good. You got, I mean, if you loved the other Battlestar Galactica, you have to go through your 5 stages of grief, and rage. And if I had a YouTube channel back then, I would have gone like, Starbuck could not be a girl. No, but they actually did a really good job. So, sometimes they pull it off. See, you can actually pull it off.
Well, this was back in the 2000s when things made sense.
Yes, exactly. There is I don't know if it's available for you, but there is I got the complete series for 40 something, between 40 and $50 on Blu-ray. It's worth checking out. It looks like it's an international one, but it's for region 1.
Yeah, I think I've seen it. In fact, I think I might actually have it in my cart.
Pull the trigger, man. It's good. It's really good. Paul Wilkinson for a £1.99. Keep up the great work exposing SJWs. We will. We will. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. Gustavro for £10. Nice touch putting sponsor's name at the end of your videos. Gives me a little buzz. Sad but true. Great chat. Yeah, you like that. That's cool. By the way, a shout out to my patrons. I need to update that video. I realize that because we've got a bunch of new people. That will be done this weekend. So that will be done this weekend because my little credits for my patrons at the end. Got to do it. Got to give them something. They give me money. It's so weird. Like even getting like a few bucks for this is weird.
It's well, yeah. I was debating setting up a Patreon account, but then 2 things happened. One, I got the contract that I'm doing right now, so I knew I wouldn't be able to publish at the same rate I was for at least 6 months. But the second one is the whole censorship thing came up. I'm like, well, do I really want to start pushing a Patreon account right when they're actively censoring people?
Yep.
So when when I do go back to doing this full time for probably a few months, I might go to Subscribestar. Debating it. But yeah, it is weird to get paid to do something you actually like. Well, that is when YouTube lets me get paid, which is not that often anymore.
Yeah, Subscribestar is good. It's good. I started one. I'm gonna mirror all the Patreons, and it's there for people who don't like Patreon. And listen, yeah, if Patreon, they're on a very short leash with me. If they pull that shit one more time, I'm gone. Bye.
It's like, well, the whole freedom of speech thing, like, even if I don't agree with you, and there are a lot of people I don't agree with, obviously, but you know what? Everybody has a right to their opinion, and as long as you're not doing anything that's actually illegal, then, you know, you don't have any right to censor it. So even if I disagree with you, even, you know, some people that have criticized both of us, which we won't mention by name, but we know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I don't agree with you, but you know what? You have every right to do what you want. I've never put out a copyright claim for
Oh,
one of the many parody videos that have been made about me, but apparently Patreon doesn't agree with that, and it
even if it's
hasn't
not
worked
on their
out too well for
platform.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, Sargon wasn't on their platform.
Oh, he wasn't on their platform, and it wasn't even one of his videos. It was somebody else's video, and what he had said was taken completely out of context. But there were a number of people that like they would probably kick off people like us eventually anyway.
Yep.
I guess we're kind of safe because we're more entertainment critics. Well, I know Gary, you don't really discuss politics at all on your channel, and I delve into it a little bit every now and then, but for the most part, because we're not covering actual political issues, then we're safe. Although nuclear Bowlestrek will be a little bit different when I finally launch that. In case anybody hasn't seen my tweets, in a couple months, I'm launching a third channel. This one's going to be political.
Can't wait. Can't wait to see it. I love nuclear Bowlestrek. All right. Stun Soul for $2. Disney is going to make reading cool again. That's great. I agree. I agree with that. Graph Tanker $98.99. Everyone, check out my Unicorn Store review. It's okay. And you could certainly check it out, and you could certainly say it's okay, and I could certainly disagree. But thank you for the $1.99. Tyler X 2F01 Canadian $5. Radical Theory. What if Bree, being Bree, is so that we won't miss her after the X-Men reboot and Rogue steals Captain Marvel's strength and fight? I would be forgiven if she just said, just kidding, and she actually has a personality, and she's just been pulling this off to get us ready to miss her. That's a stretch of all imagination. But no,
I'll miss her. She can go away right now. I'll be perfectly happy to miss her. In fact,
yes.
let's just I don't know how they've got a week to re-edit Endgame. Yeah, let's just start a GoFundMe for that. Just cut it out.
Just cut it out. And especially with I don't want to spoil anything. The MCU is going woke, folks.
Yeah, although there was the rumor of the alternate cut, which I'm guessing they're not going to use now, which is sad.
It is very sad. No, full steam ahead on this. It's depressing. It's depressing. Anthony Pride, $5. Hey, fellows, would you watch a Sean Pertwee as Doctor Who if it was written right?
Yes.
Yes. Hell yes. As a matter of fact, if they had whoever played the second Doctor Who was okay, and then oh my god, now I hate live streams. No, the one who played him in Mark Gatiss's movie. Adventure in Time and Space.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's a big name actor. I can picture him. I don't know. I'm blanking on everything today too, but yeah, I can't remember his name.
So recast the first three Doctors, have Sean Pertwee play him, and the Doctor Felch from Harry Potter, and the guy who played him in Adventures in Time and Space. Yes, David Bradley. Thank you, David Bradley. Yes, if it was written right, I would absolutely watch that. Do a three Doctors, do them by themselves. I would
Make
love
Graham
to see
the Doctor. I want to see Graham as the Doctor.
Yes, absolutely. The only guy who put in a good performance.
That's the one thing at least we can say. As bad as these shows get, Doctor Who still had Graham, and STD still had Anson Mount for one season, which I was critical of him in the beginning. I'm about eight episodes behind in my reviews, but I actually liked him, and he was the only thing that was enjoyable about the show. And then now he's gone.
Yeah. Damn it. Commodore Stargazer for $2. Been watching Space 1999, a great series so far. Excellent series, Commodore Stargazer. Good stuff. That show used to scare me as a kid just because it was creepy. I don't know why, but I dug it though. I definitely dug it, and it's good. It's got a good ship. So
I've never watched it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely plays old, but it had
I prefer old.
Yeah, it's very God, what's the weirdest uh, to me it was yeah, it was creepy. It was done creepy, but I'm thinking back to my childhood watching it. But it's a very well made show, and it's
Kind of
in
like Sapphire and Steel creepy. Have you ever
yeah,
seen that
yeah,
show?
yeah, yeah. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. So exactly, it's in that tone, but there was the '70s tone where they weren't afraid to get a little horror with their stuff, even though it wasn't. It felt like it in tone, at least to me. I could be completely wrong on that, but Tech Guy, $2. Can't Thanos just snap Bree away, please? Yeah, I mean, like honestly, Thanos would have been the good guy if he had just snapped her away. And the weird thing is, most of the people he snapped away were the new Avengers, but she's like the one of the carryovers. I know there's also Nebula and Rocket, but
I'm just you have to wonder why she hasn't been doing interviews with Scarlett Johansson. I have a feeling there's some bitterness there.
I agree with you. If I was ScarJo, I'd be pissed. Like,
Yep.
where's my movie been? They're saying there's no female leads. Hello, I was in the Avengers. And arguably she's one of the biggest actors in that movie at the
Yep.
time.
Although when they announced it, I don't know. They announced this 3-4 years ago now. That was the question I had. I had no idea who Brie Larson was, and like everybody else, I'd never heard of Captain Marvel. But I'm like, why aren't we getting a Black Widow movie? And then that actually was probably the thing that angered me the most as this came out. I'm like, hey, so we could have had Black Widow or even Scarlet Witch, but instead we're getting this. But you can tell just in watching interviews, there's a lot of resentment from the old school Avengers cast. It's everybody. I might do a video on it. I don't know. It might be old news now, but just the body language with the Chris Hemsworth, Don Cheadle interview. It's like you could tell they can't stand this woman.
No, it's especially when the God, who was I watching today? Oh, somebody's video today, and they
Probably
show
Mech Random.
either Mecha Random or Dave Cullen. Dave Cullen did one too.
Oh yeah, he did. He put one out this morning.
Yeah, and he showed the body language of Don Cheadle, which I hadn't seen.
Oh, out of all the videos that have covered it, that's actually the one that's the best. It's I don't know. I guess Dave's a body language expert now too. But yeah, no, watch his video, and then it will become clear.
Yeah, it's really clear. There's sarcasm, but I mean, we've all been part of this where we work with somebody and we're trying to get along publicly, but like behind the scenes, we're like,
difficult.
yeah, it's like I can't stand this person. She must, yeah. She just seems super manic. I after watching Unicorn Store, I don't think there's much acting involved in that. I think that was just Brie being Brie.
I get a hint of some bipolarity going on there. I don't know, me, but just not. This is not a stable individual we're talking about here.
No, some medication and some therapy would probably go a long, long way. And a bunch of people surrounding her saying yes all the time and encouraging her probably isn't even healthy, to be honest with you. That made me think back when it was that long ago. So yeah, March 13th, 2017. I'm looking at my old podcast, episode 94. And it was She-Hulk greater than Captain Marvel. I'll probably post that up on Twitter. And that's where I say the kind of the same thing when they announced Captain Marvel. I'm like, I don't want to see Captain Marvel. I'd rather see She-Hulk. I'd rather see anybody else than Captain Marvel.
Well, it is kind of sad because this universe has been building up for a decade. The original Avengers are aside from Black Widow, who's been there since like 2012. They're all going to be out after this. And what have we got left? There's only 2 movies on the docket that I have any interest in seeing. One would be the second Doctor Strange, and then the third Ant-Man movie. And other than that, I have no interest in this universe going forward. And I think they're going to learn the hard way once Endgame is over, and then the next string of Phase 4 movies comes out. I think it's going to be Star Wars Solo territory by the time they get to Captain Marvel 2. Because remember, folks, The Last Jedi made $1.3 billion, and look how that ended up. And there's only 2 reasons why Captain Marvel crossed the $1 billion mark. One is because it was the lead up to Endgame, and 2, because they literally censored everybody. Like Rotten Tomatoes was reconfigured for this freaking movie, and all of us have witnessed the censorship on YouTube. They censored the internet to protect this movie. That's why it made $1 billion. This had nothing to do with Brie Larson or Captain Marvel. This was pure manipulation and excitement going into Endgame, and I think if anything, it probably damaged Endgame to a certain extent.
No, I 100% agree. It's damaged. If it's damaged my viewing of it, I'm a Marvel fanboy, then it's had to have damaged a lot of the hardcore fans. Now, normies, whatever, but the most protected actress, the most protected film, they manufactured stuff, and still it only got like 70-something% critic score. That should tell you right there. But the audience score is completely manufactured. I get messages to this day of people
I've
going,
got a video of it because I caught it as it was happening when they deleted 50,000 tweets. It was actually in my Captain Marvel 1984 video. I'm like, this is a screenshot I took on my cell phone or my smartphone at, I think it was like 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. This is a screenshot from 2 hours later. 53,000 reviews, including, well, there are actually some. Who was the YouTuber that actually had his review removed while he was on a live stream? I can't remember who it was, but somebody actually had their review removed while they were actually streaming. So it's like, where did these reviews go? Well, I don't know. It's a bug.
yeah, and it's still happening. I get messages to this day, and it's not the only thing that's happening on Unicorn Store as well. Big surprise.
Oh yeah, on my Unicorn Store, that video was demonetized within 5 minutes. I'm surprised it took that long.
Yeah, they're slowing down. What's up with
yeah.
Rhino 45635 $5. I'm definitely showing my age, but did you gentlemen enjoy the old UFO show? I believe it was a precursor to Space 1999. Yeah, it was produced by the same person. I'm blanking on their name. I've seen episodes of it, but I don't know it that well.
I've seen it once, maybe 20, 30 years ago, but in terms of what I remember, not much.
Not much. Rashid, 10 pounds. A YouTuber's Jody's Corner and J3 Entertainment also criticize SJW culture and CB films. P.S. Do you think the Game of Thrones writers will restore faith for former Star Wars fans with their planned Old Republic project?
No, I think the damage is done. I think Star Wars is a case where, again, like Doctor Who, it's going to have to go away for a long time. The amount of damage that Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson have done to that franchise is almost unreal. I don't see it coming back. And if it's still under Kathleen Kennedy, which it might be because for some reason Bob Iger wants to keep her on and Disney is going woke anyway, I have no excitement for that whatsoever. And Disney is so clueless at the moment, they'll probably go with the Rian Johnson trilogy anyway.
They might. No, they're not going to help because these are the guys who sewed Deadpool's mouth shut in Wolverine Origins.
It's a classic.
Yes, these are the guys who, when they got off book from George R.R. Martin, couldn't write themselves out of a paper bag. So no, unfortunately, they're not. I mean, they're still better than Rian Johnson for sure, and that'll probably be a better movie. But to get back to being Star Wars, they need to resurrect Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and then actual Carrie Fisher, and have them together on screen with a whole new adventure, erasing the last two movies. They had their one chance. They blew it. You are never going to get this back. Of course, there's a group of Star Wars fans who will always be Star Wars fan because they are loyal to those letters and to the brand, but they're
very small at this point.
Very small group, not worth $1 billion, not worth the $1 billion Disney paid for it and invested into parks. And they are going to, well, man, Kathleen Kennedy, another one they're going to write books about.
Well, it's there's a specific demographic that shows like Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Star Trek need, which is pretty much our demographic, which is Generation X males, white males. Unfortunately, you know, we are the ones that grew up with it, and we are the ones that they've been crapping on for the past few years. And you know, I'm a pretty diehard fan of all three of these franchises, but Star Wars, I'm pretty much done with. Doctor Who, I love the classic series, but honestly, I in some ways, I don't even care if it ever comes back at this point. Star Trek, yeah, it's like you pissed on your main demographic, and they're not going to come back. It's like being in a bad marriage. It's like, okay, honey, you beat the crap out of me, but I'm going to come back anyway. It's like, sorry, guys. I'm like, I don't know, maybe sue Ryan Johnson for destroying your franchise. Like they $4 billion buying this, and if they actually made any profit, well, they tried spinning it last year, where it's like, yeah, we've made $4 billion. You made $4 billion gross. Have you actually made any money off this?
Not net. No, God, no. And these, yeah, it's. And then they're relying their streaming service on prequels, more effing prequels. Yeah, it's done. Honestly, this whole era of the nerd and genre films and that's not going to last forever either.
Well, look at the franchises that Disney owns now that they've picked up Fox. Like, there's a whole new collection for them to ruin. They own the freaking Simpsons now. They own the
Orville, and the X-Files, and Firefly,
and Alien,
and Fight Club.
Club. That's not getting re-released.
Disney's Fight Club. God damn it. One of my favorite all-time movies. All right, let's get through the super chats here. Mr. Grant Gregory, thank you for the Australian $1. I'm just going to call you Bruce from here on out. Rashid C, of £5. What about Kamala Khan movie instead of Captain Marvel 2? I will say the same thing about Kamala Khan that I said prior to Captain Marvel. There's certainly a way they can put these characters into a film that's entertaining if they decide to not deal with political agenda and just, hey, I'm going to get a really charming actress to play her and write a superhero script and write a superhero film. And yeah, it'd be great. It'd be fine. Probably wouldn't reinvent the wheel, but it'd probably be like Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, it was just there for me, but it wasn't like horrible.
It was actually it was weird because that was a movie that I was actually concerned about. I'm like, is this, because it's hard to think about it now, but for years it seemed like Marvel was the one franchise that avoided going woke, where everything else was going to hell. And I was worried with Ant-Man and Wasp. I'm like, is this going to be where they go woke? And I saw it in the theater with a couple friends. I'm like, okay, no, they didn't go woke. Then they're now worse than a lot of them. And Captain Marvel made money, so they're going full bore on this. Yep.
So a Kamala Khan movie will be filled with agenda and, listen, and it'll probably be filled with, cause she's Muslim, right? I think she is. And they'll put that in. Yeah, she is. And, I haven't read any of the comics. I'm just because I don't like, G. Willow Wilson, never been a fan. So, you want to talk about a poser? Sorry. Yeah. So, but they could definitely do it. Like they did Black Panther. Okay. It's a fine movie. Yeah. There's a little bit of agenda in there, but whatever.
Wait until the second one comes out. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, Black Panther was the most profitable average movie ever. So, Alvarez Imikara. I am sorry I butchered your name there, for $5. CBS says Star Trek Discovery equals Star Trek dysentery equals JJ Trek. They could mollify so many angry fans, maybe bring some back and keep current fans happy too and profit. If they call it Star Trek dysentery, just simply name it that. That would actually go a long way if they decided to troll themselves.
It might give it a plot.
Exactly. CBS being in charge, I feel the exact same way as Bowlestrek does. Is the BBC is in charge of anything, I don't want it. I don't want a Torchwood return under current BBC. I don't want anything under current BBC, and I don't want anything from current CBS, which is the American equivalent. I don't know if you've seen The Twilight Zone. Holy shit.
I have seen Doomcock's video, and that was enough to make me not want to watch The Twilight Zone. Yeah. Well, the thing with the CBS, don't they have to make a profit? I'm like, that's the big difference here. And I'm like, are you
Yeah.
deliberately trying to sabotage
I think
everything?
they think that this is what they're going to make a profit of. They're so detached. They are so detached now and just been smelling their own farts for too long. It's like the South Park episode, the smug episode. I mean, that's basically what's going on in Hollywood. And yeah, it's going to crash and burn. Knowing what I know about the streaming services, the streaming war will last 2 years, and it just started. It just started about a few months back. The full on streaming wars, and we might have gotten our first casualty with DC streaming. It certainly looks that way. And CBS All Access right now they have investor money because they've got their investors and they're like, hey, we're going to put out all these Star Trek shows and we're going to get all these subscribers. And then they've been caught cheating, like counting Showtime subscribers and counting paused subscribers, which are actually canceled subscribers. And believe me, after yesterday, a lot of people canceled their CBS accounts. Now I have not because I need to watch Twilight Zone, but I will be immediately. Oh, I knocked over my earring thing. I will be immediately after that because the Twilight Zone is trash.
Well, I feel bad for everybody that's had to actually subscribe and pay a fee to watch that. Like we actually have two options in Canada. We can watch it on cable or our local Crave streaming service. They carry Counterpart and a few other shows as well.
Oh,
but I'm
cool.
like, I couldn't imagine paying extra money to see that. And I guess, well, Gary, you've had a subscription since the beginning.
Yeah, and I pay extra money not to get the commercials, so it's $10. But I mean, I canceled after series 1, and then I started back up again. So I actually spent a really stupid amount on streaming services. Yeah, and I share them with people on the channel too. So I've shared CBS All Access quite a bit. So I try to rip them off as much as I can.
Good.
Raiders of the Lost Flicks, $10. I'm a fan of both of you. Let's talk about how current Lucasfilm does everything backwards. Set a date, make a movie, kill Han Solo, give him an origin movie. Who wants a Cassian Andor series?
Oh God, yeah.
You mean Juan Solo? Nah, I don't want a Juan Solo series. And I mean, he was incredibly forgettable. I mean, it wasn't terrible. Rogue One was just kind of there for me. I mean, if it wasn't for that ending.
I could take Rogue One. Rogue One is now the only one that I like. I initially liked The Force Awakens. Now I can't stand it. I have watched The Last Jedi multiple times, mainly just to comprehend how bad it actually is. I'm actually fascinated by just what an utter train wreck that movie is. And Solo, to be honest, if The Last Jedi hadn't happened, Solo would have been a mediocre to average science fiction movie. It would have made a profit.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have been the disaster that it was. But I think I could say that Rogue One is the only one that can actually be considered good. Not great, but good.
Agreed. It's still got elements in it, but
Just have that Darth Vader scene, so that makes
that Darth Vader scene and Donnie Yen, Donnie Yen being in it was cool, and yeah, there were some good side characters in it and stuff, and there's a lot of things that were cool, and Darth being in it was definitely cool. There was no lie there. Steve Carter, thank you for the £2. Loving the stream. Please do more. Okay,
sure.
Yeah. Mr. Roboto, $5. Gary, didn't South Park make the claim that San Fran smelling its own farts? Yes, that was the smug episode, and it's one of my favorite all-time episodes, along with the Scientology one. But yes, the smug San Francisco smelling its own fart episode is so fucking spot on accurate about this place. I mean, I live here. It's not my favorite place in the world. I'll tell you that right now. I moved up here for a girl. I know that the cisgendered stuff, but
that's non-woke. That's evil now.
So
that's a hate crime.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah, she married me too. God. Oh. Yeah. Oh. And then like we had kids. Ugh. I'm from San Diego. I love San Diego. I would, if I could move back there in a second, I would, but our business is here, so we got to stay here. And that's why I stay in my house most of the time. And it sounds very sad, but it's true. I do not get out very much because I don't drink. There's really nothing to do in San Francisco if you don't drink. It's pretty cold outside right now, and it's foggy as hell. And yeah, I'd rather talk to Bowlestrek. Much rather talk to Bowlestrek. Dwayne. Yeah,
I think it was what Paul Joseph Watson did a video on San Francisco. Apparently,
yes.
You guys have an issue of people defecating in the streets now.
We have the poop patrol. So our mayor partially got elected because she decided to take on the human feces in the streets problem here. I'm not joking. And she has she has a task force and a poop patrol that I pay for, to the tune of somewhere around the number of $60,000 a month. I mean, I'm not paying that much, but that's what I'm contributing for. 60, and they've it's funny, in the show Maniac that was on Netflix, they have a doggy poop robot thing in the future. They really need to just do that, but it's a legit problem. I mean, I've seen it. It's certain parts of the town you walk around, and then there's a big Cleveland steamer on the sidewalk. It fucking sucks. And but this is right in front of a place where the rent is $250,000 a month. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Damn, I thought Canada had issues.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to go to Toronto, Toronto could have a battle in wokeness with San Francisco.
It might outwoke us. We're bad. I mean, it's bad here, but I'd say like Portland's worse. Portland, Oregon's worse. Because like they still make money here. Like there's still like the tech industry has changed the city a lot. Like this city used to be like it created woke, but now it's really different. A lot of people were complaining about the gentrification and just the fact that Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, the guy, owner of Facebook, Mr. Anti the Wall, Trump's wall, bought 6 houses in the Mission District, which is like, it's like buying 6 houses in the Bronx in New York. Okay. And it's the Latin district, but it's got a lot of flavor. It's a lot, it's a very interesting place to go. There's some BART stations where you will get mugged, or used to. Like there was times if you walk down that street, like 3 nights in a row, you were going to get mugged 2 nights for sure. It's not like that anymore. Zuckerberg moves in, puts giant walls around his houses with, I think it's 20 to 30 armed security here in the city of San Francisco, where like you can't even, it takes an act of God to carry a gun here, much less shoot it. And he's got armed security and a big old wall, and yeah.
Well, that's practicing what he preaches.
Oh yeah, definitely. Gary, have you gone by the P.O. box? No, I'm doing it actually, Bruce. I'm on my way to the gym after I talk to Bowlestrek, and then I'm picking going by the P.O. box. Actually, we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon because
I guess it's over 2 hours now.
Yeah. Bruce, I will hit you up on Twitter as soon as I do. It'll be about an hour from now. Thank you so much for the $2 and sending stuff to the P.O. box. And I will be opening it on, I'll be doing segments each live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'm going to open my stuff. I have to, part of my office is completely in shambles right now. So it's like the part you don't see. That's right over here. It's like, I don't want you to see it.
Oh, you got to see what mine looks like. See that? You can't see my office anymore, but yeah, it's a disaster at the moment. I have enough room for my chair, and that's about it.
Yep, I feel you on that. Okay, last super chat. Lonnie Holcomb, it's cold. It's that way in July in San Francisco. Yes, it's our lovely summer weather. We're getting it a little bit early, and it's 40 days and 40 nights of fog.
I still have snow.
You do?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at a mountain outside my window right now. Oh yeah, we have winter 7 months of the year here.
Oh damn! But you get to look at a mountain. That's pretty damn cool.
Well, a mountain of snow, but yeah. Oh no. Well, the city that I live in, it's pretty much built inside a rock face. I'm about 3.5 hours north of Toronto now, but I literally live on top of a mountain.
That's cool. That's super cool. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap things up and I'm going to show my old Patreon video here. So bear with me for a second and we'll chat a little bit while it is going. But I definitely need to update this. I understand that because somebody had requested. And here we go. Showing the credits and definitely plug away. Plug your channel, sir. You still with me?
Oh, I'm still with you.
Yeah.
Looking to see who I recognize there.
Do you want to plug your channel?
Sure. So, in case you don't know who I am, my name's Bowlestrek. I'm old, I'm grumpy, and my channel is pretty much me complaining about things. So, youtube.com/Bowlestrek, Bowlestrek.
And if the mods could link that in the description one more time. And when this turns into a video, I'm going to keep it up on the channel for like a couple days. So, and it might remain. I might just keep it. But if it doesn't remain, it will be on Nerdrotic Live and nerdrotic.com. It will also be available as a podcast on iTunes, Player FM. I mirror everything. So, but I will link your channel in the description and I'll be sharing this a couple more times on Twitter and stuff. So we'll get it out there. We'll get that subscriber count going. But you know, as long as the clips come and definitely watch your last few videos have been great actually. But the Unicorn Store review in particular, I liked a lot.
I was a bit grumpy doing that one.
Yeah, I like grumpy. It works for me. All right, so let me go to the chat real quick there, and it's been a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah, this was great. We definitely must do this again.
Yeah. So again, if you guys are coming in late, this is the first time we've like spoken to each other. So and it worked out pretty well, I would say. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't see what the count was. Who was watching here? How many people were watching?
I've got it at 766 right now. I've had it up on my.
Holy crap! We had almost 1,000 people. That's great. That is great. I'm just gonna keep it up on the channel now. Screw it. It's staying. Cool. Okay. Yeah, and can't wait for your next video. Your Star Trek video. I got a Marvel video coming out in about an hour. My friend, you do outstanding work. Please keep it up. Because you do contribute. You do.
Well, thanks, Gary. And as I was saying, actually, before we started streaming, Nerdrotic and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers have pretty much replaced my nightly news at this point. So awesome work, dude.
Oh, thanks. And I will definitely get you in contact with Jeremy. I think you're part of the family. This big whatever the hell we are. This loose knit group of people who I think just have a brain in their heads. That's all. I mean,
a group of grumpy old men.
Yes, even the women are grumpy old men, and that's you two in the chat because we are nothing without you. Okay, so thank you for all the generous super chats, everybody. Thank you so much. Sorry I didn't get to the chat much, but I hope you enjoyed the conversation between us two, and definitely we will be doing more in the future. I'm going to quick plug my next thing. So I'm going to be doing a Twitch stream sometime today. I will tweet it out just to test some software, and because I'm also going to be a guest on a radio show tonight. Watch my Twitter. It's paranormal stuff. Then of course tomorrow Doomcock is joining me for Game of Thrones. And then there's me ripping the Twilight Zone on Monday. So I might be doing that.
I'm still waiting for his review of this week's STD. That's going to be epic.
Yeah. It might take a couple days because I think just knowing how he works, he watches stuff in little increments and he takes like manic
20 pages of notes.
Yeah. And he's going to freaking lose his mind on this one. I'd message him. I'm like, dude, you better drink. I'm not telling you. I told you too. I said, you better have some booze ready. I don't know if you drink, but I don't. And it hurt. It hurt.
I watched in the morning with my coffee, but yeah, I was about to crack open a beer.
Nice. Truth Apocalypse. Chat wins. Flawless victory. I love that. That's a great saying. You guys roll. So everybody have a great day. And we will see you next time. And we will be back. Both of us will be back.
Yes, we will.
Cheers.